Beat them senseless.
You and me and you, we gonna throw down. That's right, we gonna get serious.
You can run, but you can't hide.
It's time for the Fuller Broadcast with your host, Jeff Fuller.
Welcome to the Fuller Broadcast Mania. I'm here live to talk to fighters from BKFC, BYB, UFC, MMA, boxing, bare knuckle, you name it. We get their stories about their past, their future, and what's going on in 2024. So let's bring on John Untamed Barnard. Welcome to our show, buddy. How you feeling today?
I'm doing good. Just got back from the gym, kind of winding down this night, and yeah, just glad to be here. And hopefully, we can get a good story out so that everyone can know a little bit about myself.
Definitely.
That's good. So
Go ahead and let Jeff start it out.
There we go. So before we start off the show, we want to ask: before you came back to bare knuckle fighting or MMA, you were off for about 7 or 8 years. So how did it feel to return back to your fighting combat sports?
It felt like another day in the park. I know some of my students and some of the other professional athletes at my gym at Top Tiger Team in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Also kind of wanted to know, like, how does it feel and all that kind of stuff. And like I alluded to them, when you got it, you got it. It's always been rooted in my heart and in my soul to fight. Like, it's been something that I enjoy so much. So it wasn't easy. It was very easy to come back to the game and kind of do what I've been able to do in my last 3 fights, with a 9-year layoff. It's been in my heart. It's in the blood. It's in my DNA to fight, and perform the way I've performed. That's my life.
Definitely. So, where do you come from, and what gym do you represent?
So I'm from
your management.
Got you. Okay, so I'm from Hawaii. I'm born and raised in Makaha, Hawaii, and recently, I would say about 4 years ago, I left the islands of Hawaii to pursue a life that was worthy of my children. It's very expensive in Hawaii. It's kind of priced out of paradise, so I left Hawaii to explore greener pastures, in which I ended up landing in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's where I call home now. The gym that I'm training at is a little small boutique gym out in Charlotte, North Carolina, called Top Tiger Team Boxing. I got started with them after testing out a handful of gyms out in Charlotte, North Carolina. I actually visited a handful of gyms before I decided, this is my home gym. And the reason why I selected this gym, it wasn't because of the owner. It wasn't because of the coach's ability to coach me. None of that. It was because he provided me a very safe, kind, we aligned a lot with our beliefs and lifestyles and principles. And that allowed me to, really train hard and not worry about anything else around me. I ended up becoming the manager of that gym, and now I'm running a full fight team called the Tiger's Den. And so, so I am also now being managed. As of, I think, a few months ago, I'm now managed with a first round management, my manager, Don. So right now we're just getting started. Hopefully there's some news that's going to be dropping soon. I have been in contact with my manager, Don, and basically letting me know that I got a fight coming up soon. So be ready. And, I'm in and out of the gym. So, yeah.
Definitely. So it sounds like you are kind of just pursuing, a better life for your family and your children. I mean, it sounds like you decided, hey, this is what I want, and you just make your path to go get it.
Absolutely. So I know a lot of people are fighting hopefully for their next big payday and all that kind of stuff, and that's not what I'm doing this for. I'm not fighting for a payday. I'm fighting to entertain, and I'm fighting to prove that no matter how long you take a break from a hobby or something that you really enjoy, if you really was into it, if you really put all your time and attention to it, it should not be a big deal getting back into it. It's like riding a bike, you can jump back on that bike and ride that bad boy like you never stopped. Yeah. And so that was hopefully a proof that all I needed to do is get my cardio back in check, tighten up a little things here and there, and I was able to jump back on that horse and ride that bad boy to the sunset. So hopefully I can do that with this little last run of my combat life.
That makes perfect sense to me. I mean, my grandpa, he's in his 70s, he's mid 70s, and he was a state championship wrestler whenever he was in high school. He told me whenever I was in high school, he said, that's one thing you'll never forget is how to wrestle. You'll never forget how to fight. You'll never forget how to defend yourself. Once you learn, it stays with you. Your body might give away and you might have some wear and tear. He said, but you'll always be able to know what to do. Just because you can't outsource that job to your limbs anymore doesn't mean that you're not still a dangerous individual in that sense.
Correct. And to be honest, quite frankly, I think I would say I'm at the tail end of my prime. Like I'm in the middle tail end of my prime age. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm at the strongest at this age.
So basically, you're most dangerous.
I feel like I'd say if I wish I would have started maybe like 5 years ago. I think I should have came back 5 years ago when I was 30. I think that would have been, you guys would have seen a freaking ferocious, hungry, explosive dude, and so I'm definitely fighting with injury prevention in my mind for sure. So I'm being explosive with a little caution to make sure that I don't run this flame out too quickly, because I could go in and do what a lot of these reckless fighters are doing, and just throw hands and break my hands and all this kind of stuff. And that would entertain you folks, but you guys wouldn't, that entertainment would only last for so long. So now I'm being a little bit more smarter, allowing wisdom to control my fights, allowing wits and tactics and, all those other good stuff that a seasoned veteran would do,
And another thing about that is I feel like maybe had you came back 5 or 6 years earlier, perhaps we'd be seeing a completely different individual now because, we didn't really have the bare knuckle so much then. So you might have been primarily an MMA focused individual or kickboxing or maybe even regular boxing.
Right.
It's hard to say what could have been or what would have been or what could be, sir. It's one of those things.
It's crazy that you mentioned that because when I started bare knuckle, it wasn't the first choice. I didn't want to do bare knuckle. I definitely did not want to do bare knuckle. And in fact, I was trying to do professional boxing. And the irony is I was begging promotions up here. Hey, let me box in your promotion. Let me box in your promotion. I'm like, they wouldn't let me. I'm like, damn, I was so bummed because I knew. What's up?
If you really do want to box, I know some promoters, and I'm sure they're watching this right now, and they pay pretty well.
Promoters are hitting me up all the time.
This one right here. I had a boxing match on their show right here, TCB Fights. That's Tupelo City Boxing, Tupelo Championship Boxing.
So I got promoters hitting me up left and right now. That I'm
getting
the name for myself now, but
they know you got it,
man. It was a pain, man. I was reaching out to all these promoters, and then not only was these promoters giving me a hard time, I learned something about the boxing scene that I never knew growing up in Hawaii. I never knew that there's an A side and a B side. I never knew that. I'm not sure if you folks are even aware of that, but I basically a lot of these boxers, these pro boxers, are paying for their victories, like. Plain and simple, they're paying for their wins. So all these boxers that has an undefeated record, they didn't earn that. They paid for that. Yeah. And I was not going to be that guy that was going to pay for my record. And so when I first started, I was like, hey, I'll be a B fighter. B fighters are the ones that get paid a little decent. And, the goal is that you will lose. That's pretty much what a B fighter is. And I was like, give me whoever the commission will let me fight, and just know that they ain't winning. I'm not laying over and allowing them to win, just fight me. So I met a promoter that was willing to throw me in my pro debut against somebody that was 3-0, all KOs. I was like, yeah, match me that, give me that. Guys like left and right wouldn't want to fight me because I guess I had too much experience. So BKFC reached out to me and ended up offering me a fight against this guy named Josh Murr, I believe. And that's how I got into the BKFC. I got connected with I forgot his name. I forgot his name. The management champions, or I forgot his name. He's been on you guys'
Daryl.
podcast sometimes. What's his name?
Daryl.
Daryl. Yeah. So
That's
Daryl
my
connected me.
manager.
Yeah.
Daryl connected me with BKFC.
Shout out Daryl. Daryl's good
Yeah.
people.
So he ended up connecting me with the BKFC, and that was a great opportunity that he really set me up. And it was like I said, and I told him, and I told everybody, all I need is the foot. Just put my foot in the door. That's it. That's all I need. And
Yep.
that's what he did. And boom, and it just hopefully, from what everyone thinks, it just went a good way.
Definitely.
So before we go on a commercial break to talk about our sponsors, I want to ask this one question. Do you feel like you made the right choice?
With what?
The right choice to go to BKFC? Do you feel like that, like from the MMA and going to bare knuckle, do you feel like that you're more comfortable with fighting in bare knuckle now?
Well, I'm getting comfortable. I think it's easy for me to be comfortable in this sport, and not to throw shade on anyone, but honestly, the competition is not as skilled as one may believe. You got a lot of dogs in there that's tough, and that can street fight pretty well. But for the most part, a lot of these bare knuckle boxers ain't boxing. They're bare knuckle brawling. They're bare knuckle street fighting, and they got to remember that this is bare knuckle boxing. So I'm really trying to shine a light on the fact that you can box in this, right? It's a little different, but you can box, and that's what I'm trying to do. So me coming into this sport is a great choice because it's so new, and I knew that if I entered this bare knuckle sport, I'm gonna blow up quickly. I'm very analytical. I'm very tedious. I love ambiguity. So when I entered this sport, my objective was to really examine this sport and be the pioneer, that really be the Mayweather, right? Not be the Mayweather, the money, not money, but the pretty boy Mayweather of this bare knuckle boxing, the guy that perfected boxing, the Ali of boxing, the guy that revolutionized boxing, right? So, and that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be that pioneer that really transforms this into an actual art, a gentleman's art, because right now there's a lot of just wildness, and hopefully it will continue to go down that path of skilled art, because that's what boxing is a gentleman's art.
So that segues into my question. How do you feel about these people that just go out there and they just throw like this? There's no recourse to it. They're throwing hooks.
Yeah,
they're throwing hooks.
Hopefully I can, I know some of these guys might challenge me and say that their skills are much better. You guys know who you guys are, and if you guys are willing to meet me from 140 to 135, I'll show you that bare boxing is much better of a way of doing it. I will dismantle that wildness, and I will show you that boxing is the way that it should be. So personally, I think it's retarded, it's reckless, but it works because again, like I said, it's a very fresh sport. People are still learning, and in fact, it's just brawlers versus brawlers right now. At this moment, there's a lot of brawlers versus brawlers. There's a handful of guys that I do really respect in regards to the bare knuckle, but there's not that much. It's far in between. I could list maybe all of them in like one hand of the ones that I feel like are actually boxing.
Yeah, that aren't just in there reckless.
They're not just swinging haymakers, hilo tahales.
Hoping to hit you.
Hoping. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. That first word says it all. Hoping to hit you.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break.
Now, guys, if you haven't got a t-shirt with your favorite fighter for your family or your kids, check this out. Get blazed. Get blazed. Just Blaze Clothing Company. They're a t-shirt company. They make chains, they make shirts, they make all kinds of products. If you guys want to go to their page, like, share, comment, and look at their products, you'll be amazed what they make. Appreciate your support, guys. All right.
Tell them we sent you.
Can't forget
So,
about that.
let's talk about your last fight with BKFC fighter Morris. Give us a little detail how you felt going into that fight, and do you feel like that fight went your way?
So it's a really fun experience matching up with these opponents during the weigh-ins because I don't look like the typical fighter. You know what I mean? I got the dad bod going on. And so every time I come to these weigh-ins, for pretty much my whole life, I've always been underestimated every single time. And that fuels me so much. They have no idea. So a lot of what's his name? Trevor Morris. Is that what you're talking about last fight? Yeah, he was. I'm pretty sure he was doubting me, and he thought he was going to just run through me. And to be honest, I thought we were going to have a really good fight because he did fight one of the number one fighters in BKFC, Howard Davis, whatever. And so I was like, you know what? This is going to be the test that's really going to help me to display my keep in this game. And again, I was in entertaining the idea of a great fight. Hopefully, the fight of the night. That was my goal. And I just stuck to the basics, staying calm and collect. And I knew that if I stayed calm and collect, he would come in rushing wildly, as they all do, and I would pick them apart. And that's what literally I did. I don't think he even touched me that whole fight. And I was I really don't remember. I don't think he touched me. And it was because I knew what I brought to the table. I was going to stick to my game of boxing, right? Box, hit, and not get hit in the pocket like I first. Go ahead.
Yeah, if he thinking back about that fight, I think now, if he did touch you, it was more pushing away to try to separate space so he could work because he couldn't really do anything. You negated anything he threw at you. I mean,
I very slow, very very slow. A lot of these boxers, these bare knuckle fighters, are very very sluggish, and they're slow.
It seems like they load up.
They are. They're loading. Most of these guys are loaded up, hoping for the next knockout. And knock on wood, but I've been known to have a pretty decent chin. So you can wind up as much as you can. I've been known to gobble up some punches. So hopefully I don't have to do it, but I'm very confident in my capabilities of taking a shot. And I was confident as hell staying in the pocket because that's my bread and butter, is that inside game. So hopefully I can show a little bit more boxing and really technical side of things when I come after that title at that 135-pound division.
What I noticed when you were fighting, a lot of these fighters didn't really predict that you would be dominated in this weight class. So I felt like you proved them wrong, and you're showing them you belong, and you're gonna show business.
Oh, absolutely. I've been working with some of the greats, I would say, with Tony Loco Soto, Trucker, Ryan Jett.
Shout out Tony. Love Tony.
So we all work together. I got some really good insights from him, picking his brain, just sparring with him, and really uncovering his style of bare knuckle boxing, which is a little bit more boxing than anything. And he's really showed me a lot of things through our time together. Sparring and stuff like that. So, I've met, sparred with Ryan Jett, which is more of that slugging, street fighting, a little halfway, pretty decent boxing as well, but he's a slugger. And I was able to work with him. And then I got a Trucker who was tall as heck. Hit him Holloway as well, sparred with them. So I got a really good insight of all kinds of ranges of fighters with all of them. Trucker is a long range slugging brawler. Ryan Jett is an inside pocket punching animal. And then you got Hit'em Holloway, who's a very long, lanky thug, in the game as well. So I got a mixture of all of these fighters. And then I also got to work with a lot of these amateur boxers as well with the Cantoon Brothers and the Ayalas. There are some great boxers that comes to our gym and work with us. So with all of that, I was so confident that I knew that I would come into this sport, box the crap out of this guy, adjust the power a little bit, right? Work on that timing, position, head movement, and I would tear this guy up. I just knew he was too slow. He reminded me of my first opponent. Very slow, very predictive, super loopy, very tough, but very sloppy.
So my question to you is this. I mean, where is the line between tough and good when it comes to bare knuckle boxing? I mean, because we see some of these guys that they're not going down. You might as well hit them with a Ford Ranger, bro. They ain't going down.
And Mark Irwin, huh?
But they will get busted up and just keep coming forward, eating shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, do something different.
Yeah, you gotta also think about the fighter that they're fighting. It makes no sense for you to keep beating on someone like that. To be honest, it's like, what are you accomplishing by beating them up in that fashion? Finish, and that's one of the things that these guys are not doing. Yeah. They're not finishing these fighters. So if I fought somebody like an Irwin, and I knew that I couldn't put him down with a punch to the face, I'm tearing that body up. I'm putting his ass down, and he ain't getting up. Either he ain't gonna get up because he don't want to, or he getting put down because he can't get up. Yeah. So that's the difference that I really pride myself on, is when I come in that ring, my goal is to outwork you. That's the number one goal. 2 is to try to come back like this, because I do have girls that rely on me, and then 3 is just making a statement, you know what I mean, and telling these guys, bro, you shouldn't have been in that ring to begin with me, So that's the goal. Those are the 3 things that I'm trying to accomplish every time I step in the ring. So hopefully that I'm able to do that. I've been doing it so far, so hopefully I keep that trajectory going.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I want to let you know this, that I've been watching some of your past fights, like in the old days, like 2010, 2011, and I've seen a big difference and big change from you. What is your training like from back then and now?
So I've stopped kicking. I'm not worried about kicking no more. So I'm able to really sharpen and so I'll tell you the secret. Hopefully, this helps the bare knuckle boxing scene. Like I said, I've been trying to uncover the art of bare knuckle boxing, and there's a few things that stood out to me that I realized over the years. One, I used to street fight. I didn't street fight a lot because I was halfway decent. I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't get into trouble a lot, even though fighting was like a ritual for us. It wasn't like a bad thing, like you would think up here. It was a honor thing here in Hawaii growing up. So I fought a few times, right? And I was thinking like, because I was analyzing. I'm a very analyzing kind of guy. I'm very logical and analyze everything. I overthink things and try to figure out the best way of doing things. And I thought about the past, and when I street fought, and when my brothers street fought, and when my brothers and all friends and everyone that fought, they never punched hard things. They didn't punch bricks. They didn't do none of that crap. They just hit the bag with a punching bag, make sure their cardio is good, and they worked on timing, precision, punching where it counted. And so that's the only thing that I did, was just work on my contact, making sure that my knuckles are being placed exactly where I want them to be placed, getting my cardio into a place where I don't have to rely on having to knock guys out. I can go the distance. I should be able to go to the distance. You know what I mean? And I always want to pride myself on being able to go the distance. And then 2 is just being smooth, really trying to box. Is the goal. It's bare knuckle boxing, not bare knuckle brawling. So, I think hopefully that answers your question. I'm not sure.
So I have another question for you. Would you rather land one shot that knocks somebody completely out and sets you up for maybe knockout of the year, but it breaks your hand? Cool. Or would you rather just tap a guy up for the 5 rounds and just tap him up, point him to a decision?
I don't mind.
I mean, you come out clean. You come out clean either way.
Right. Either
Both
way.
ways.
Shoot, I've broken my hands a few times before. I've broken my foot, my phalanges and my metatarsals before. So it's not the funnest thing to do, but I think I want to get a knockout. I want to get a very like stamp of approval knockout where it says like, okay, not only can he crack the body, not only can he make guys quit and give up, but this guy can crack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I would risk my left hook on somebody's chin and and just put that guy completely on his back.
Yeah.
For one time. Just
yeah,
one time.
I mean,
And then
if
I'll go
it
back to
guarantees
the
you KO of the year, like we just discussed, if it guarantees you KO of the year, or you could take that
I'll take that
decision.
I'll take that KO. I think that would be nice. I think that would be a nice highlight reel right there for sure. I need a little bit better highlight reels. I thought my finish to that body shot was probably one of the cleanest body shot kills ever. So I don't know why I haven't got. I don't even know why I didn't get the KO of the night that day. Because I made the guy quit with a body shot, bro. So yeah,
you very rarely see people quit with a body shot, but when they do, there's usually some puking or some piss and blood or something that's very heinous to follow very soon after.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely gotta follow up with
unless you're getting punched right here, in your clavicle area, and you stop. Which I don't believe that. I don't believe that's legal to punch people in the neck. I'd have to check into the rule set, but I don't think you're allowed to punch in the neck.
Yeah, not intentional, I would assume.
No, that's But that would probably be the most painful shot there would be just to take. I would much rather take a jaw shot and wake up than take a body shot and have broke ribs for 6 to 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, that comes from a fighter's aspect, from someone who's been there. So I'd rather take that whack on the jaw and be a little bit embarrassed than be hurt.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So here we go, guys. We're going to ask more questions, and we're going to get more answers from John. Let's take a commercial break for our local food truck company. Churrolicious Arizona Food Truck, our sponsor, local Arizona and Castle Grand, Eloy. They also go to Arizona, and plus they set up at all events that we have locally. Check them out. Go to their page, like, share. I'm sure you guys got some sweet teeth for that. Thank you for helping.
That looks good. That looks good. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna be doing a live. I got to go there Friday night with my kids. We're going to be checking them out. So
the taste testing?
Yeah,
you'll have to let me know how it is.
They're going to give us some free desserts, and we're going to be testing them out, baby.
Oh.
Yep. All right. So with your training and everything going on, we talked about your training. So we'll talk a little bit about your coaches and the help you and the support you get from behind you.
Well, you guys ready for this one? So technically, not to put shade on anybody in my team, but I train myself. I've been training myself for the past, say, 10, 15 years. I'll get a little help here and there, work sessions here and there. But technically, I am responsible for my own training. I haven't really had a training team or a camp in years, man. Ever since my old coach, Colin McKenzie, started, when I was under his wing is when I would get coaching. But it's been a while, man. I've been a coach ever since my team split up and Max Holloway got into the UFC. Right before Max got into the UFC, I've been really just running my own thing, being a coach, coaching myself. So I would look at areas in my work that needed assistance or adjustments or whatever, and then I would create workouts and training regimens and schedules to fix those bad habits or whatever they may be. cardio, and I'll just improve myself and use that to coach everyone else. And so that's pretty much what I'm doing at this moment. My coach at this moment is Andre Miguel, at the owner of Top Tiger Team. He'll be running like a lot of cardio and strength training for me, and we just do like I just do group training with everyone else, and then once I warm up with his workouts, then I'll jump in and I'll teach everyone. And then I'll get mid work here and there with Coach Mason Brown, who is another coach at the gym. He's one of the professional boxers that I coach and help when he's fighting professionally. And then I will get sparring. Like I said, sparring, I'll spar everyone at the gym, and Coach Ayala, and Coach Fidel. They would also help me as well. So that's pretty much it. But it's like I said, it's mainly me just coaching and training myself. I train myself Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays in my garage by myself. And then Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I'm at the gym helping out, coaching, and then coaching myself as well with a little mid work here and there. So I'm doing the analyzing, doing the studying, doing the learning, that kind of stuff, and just applying it to myself right now.
We've got a comment on Facebook from Anthony C. Cruz, says need both strength and cardio.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. You got to have the best of both worlds, because, I mean, if you have no gas in the tank, you can have all the drive in the world, but you ain't going nowhere.
But I think the cardio aspect is so important, because when talent does not, when cardio does not exist, you can have all the talent, but if cardio doesn't show up, that talent is for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cardio outworks talent when talent don't show. You know what I mean? Doesn't show up, so for sure.
He says 100.
Let me ask you this. So
Yes, sir.
you coaching yourself, training yourself, and you get a little bit, a little help. Do you feel like when you're actually in the ring or the circle or a triangle, your coaches or your corner man, do you feel like do you listen to what they have to say to you, or you just focus on
Absolutely, because you got to remember. So all of these coaches that are at the gym, I'm also helping them in their coaching. Like I'm coaching them as well, right? So their kid, I'm coaching their kids. I'm helping them as well. I'm one of the managers at the gym, so I'm pouring into them. They're pouring into me whatever they can, and vice versa. I'm pouring into them whatever I can. And so what I've been able to establish is a unison, right? Where everyone in the gym is on the same page. So we're speaking the same language. So certain terminologies that I use, it either got adopted in the gym or I adopted some of their training terminologies. So whenever I'm speaking about something while I'm sparring, I'm letting my coaches know, or the guys that's coaching me, letting him know, like, hey, this is what I do. This is why I do it. So, we just interchanging these terminologies and just ideas. And I just got a great group of guys in my corner, great lifestyles, good men, and just really open to learning, and as I am as well. And we just pour into each other, and now we got the same kilt, like we're on that same page, you know what I mean? So when he's cornering me, Coach Mason and my brother, they the one called that shot. They called the body shot. They say hit the body, he opened that body up, and that's my favorite shot, to be honest. I probably sat almost everybody that sparred with me in my gym down with a body shot, the same body shot. I sat almost everybody. I would say I'm like a 80 percentile. 80%, I'm not dropped everybody that I spoke, or most of the people with the body shot, same body shot in my gym. And so my coach, my team knew exactly what's my favorite shots, and they just reminded me of where I shine and where I need to put pressure and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely something that I've always had a keen ear for. My first original coach, Colin McKenzie, and I had a great rapport, meaning when he told me to throw a shot, I listened. I was like a Tekken player in a Tekken game, and he was the controller player, right? He's the one telling me what to punch, and I would listen as quick and as safely as possible. And so I'm teaching my kids and my students and my coaches here, like, hey, we need to improve this. This is very important that coach and fighter has a great connection, right? Because when the crowd is going off, you should only be able to hear your corner. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of fighters don't have the ability to turn and tune out everyone else besides coach. I can do that. I do that pretty well. And I've had a lot of practice and years of that type of connection with my coach, Colin McKenzie. And, that's what I think made me so great, because I was able to practice things on the fly. Like, I remember my coach teaching me how to do a flying knee. Iron Mike Zambidis, he did this switch flying knee. And he taught me that day of my fight. And I threw it when he told me. And it was like, everyone was tripping, like, wow, this guy looked like he practiced that his whole life. I just did it. I just threw it and it landed, so it's that. That's all it is, man. That's all it boils down to be honest.
So it sounds like you basically took the intricacies that you were instilled with, and you were kind of like, hey, you guys need to kind of follow up same suit. I mean, we'll all be on the same page at that point,
Exactly.
You won't have to. There will be no discrepancies. It'll be A1, A2, A3.
Exactly. So we have exactly what's going on. We're cultivating a system that we're all agreeing of. Some of my keys terms, don't is hard for some guys to adopt, and so I'll kind of deviate a little bit and change and adapt to them. But for the most part, we're holistically one. Our whole team is just one. We're all kind of on the same page, same kilter. We understand the mission, and we're all pushing towards unifying what we know to better improve the quality of training that we're giving everybody.
So basically what you're saying is when one guy's over here yelling, block left, block left, block left, they're blocking left.
Exactly.
There's no discrepancies between the sorts. You guys are in tune with each other's inner person because, like I said before, you guys shared the same values of we have to learn this program because this program is that's the ticket. Because if we all know the same program, we all are on the same page. And if A sees something that B don't see, we could have, a whole different aspect to it from another person's point of view where they can say, oh, well, if he would have just stepped to his right, he would have been able to throw 6. Or if he would have been able to, if he would have just parried whenever he threw 2, if he would have just parried back, he could have threw 1-1-2 right down the pipe. Right. And it helps having several people that understand the same number or numeric pattern to be able to say, all right, well, I need to relay this message to the fighter because the other people that are on the outs in the corner have informed the coach, hey, well, I'm seeing this. You might not be seeing it, but I'm seeing this. We're all in the same group. We all do the same thing. I'm seeing this. I know he can do this.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing
that's beneficial.
It's super beneficial. The other thing too is we're not stealing, but we're not controlling in a sense that we're just like, hey, this is the way or the highway kind of thing. We're actually, to be honest, we have multiple. It's like a melting pot, right? Of just everything, right? And we join together to make one better thing. But we also keep some of the originality of things as well. Meaning, if you're eating Filipino food, I'm not going to make it an American. It doesn't have to be Americanized, right? We can still have Filipino food, Asian food. You know what I mean? So we still have a line that separates certain combinations. So Coach Mason will say a certain thing, and I will say it a certain way as well. So now fighters have two of the same way of representing a certain combination. So that adds more complexity, but at the same time, it actually hides things too. You know what I mean? It's like translation, so it's pretty cool. So
I'm not sure where those balloons just came from. I did not.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's not my birthday. Not yet. June is my birthday.
Yeah,
I did not do that.
Happy birthday, man. So I love how you answered that.
Yes, definitely.
That was perfect. And no matter what sport you're in, you should be able to listen to what's behind you in that ear. Because you might need that. I used to be a wrestler. I always had to listen to my coach.
Yeah.
He told me to go shoot. You got that support behind you, and that's 100% that will push you go further, you know.
Yeah.
They see things you can't see. They're your blind spot monitors. You know what I mean? So that's one
Yes.
of the most important things that I make it known to all these fighters. A lot of the kids and coaches they're in the ring right now, they're not as seasoned as I am. They don't have as much experience in the game, in the
Correct.
martial art game as I. But it's good and bad because they see things that I would have never had seen, right? With my history in the game, right? That I've become what's that called? Stubborn too, right? And I able to break some of those habits because of the new eyes and new ears that's involved in my life now. But at the same time, they're able to pick up things and really grasp new concepts and ideas that they may never have heard of as well. And then we just mesh it all together to make a great system that we all can use interchangeably.
Like, boxers and kickboxers back in the day, they used to fight behind a strong jab, and now you see people that fight behind a hell of a front kick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those kinds of deals. Like, there's a melding pot, and there's room for improvement on everything because nobody's 100% the baddest mug on the planet. They can say John Jones is the baddest man out there, but I'm gonna tell you right now, there's somebody in somewhere that would just mop the fucking floor with him. Pardon my French, but that's the truth. There's somebody somewhere.
Maybe
There's somebody somewhere. There's always somebody bigger, badder, better. That there's literally a person. We've been on here for 41 minutes. There's been a few hundred people born. One of those people could be the next UFC champ in such and such amount of years. We don't.
there's definitely seasons in this game, right? But as I spoke to before, there's always going to be a goat that that creates the ceiling. For sports.
Yeah. There's always going to be that idolized person, regardless of whatever it is.
There always will, but it's going to take a while for that ceiling to be broken, if it makes sense.
Correct.
So, for example, if you look at Tom Brady, for example, he is definitely one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever.
That's the truth.
Ever. And he's backed that up
That's
by
true.
switching teams and being able to do what he did, right? Then you got Floyd Mayweather, who I feel like he put the ceiling on boxing.
Yeah.
There's really nothing more that boxers can actually do to improve boxing. Really, there's nothing more. To be honest, there's nothing.
Not get hit.
Nothing. Yeah. That's it. Mayweather has really created the ceiling for boxing. There's nothing more above the ceiling.
I agree.
So to your point, it's kind of true, right? Because MMA is a little different, right? It's a mixture of arts, right? Yes. So because Mayweather could be not Mayweather, but John Jones could be faced with someone that is great, phenomenal wrestling and impeccable boxing, right? Because John Jones is just a well-rounded, tough, smart.
That's right.
But all it needs is styles make fights.
Yeah.
Right? So John Jones could meet his match for sure. I can agree with that. But again, there is ceilings to this stuff, and I don't think MMA has reached its ceiling yet. John Jones and what's his name, George St. Pierre. Maybe those are the two that that are really inching towards that ceiling of no more getting better. Just like jiu-jitsu, I don't think there's much more that can be uncovered in jiu-jitsu. I think everyone has figured out a way of manipulating every single joint and body part to ever exist already. I think we're literally at that point where there's nothing more that can be learned.
Yeah. I mean, there's not too many more ways you can cut off somebody's air supply or manipulate them into a submission.
But MMA is a combination of all of that. There is no fully complete fighter. So yes, there is definitely room. There is definitely going to be someone that's going to be able to outshine John Jones and do that for sure. But again, this is a one art system. What we're doing right now, bare knuckle, and I feel like hopefully if all goes well, if God's willing, He'll allow me to pioneer and create that ceiling for this bare knuckle thing. So that's my goal this year is this 2 years to ceilinize. I want a pretty boy Mayweather this bare knuckle boxing. You know what I mean?
So that kind of segues into our next question: what we were going to see out of you in 2024.
So 2024 is looking to be a really good year for me, I believe. So it's not what's it called? It's not announced yet. It will be shortly, but be on the news, on the lookout for news in March, I believe. We'll drop some really, really cool news that's gonna
Okay.
make me very happy. You know what I mean? I can't go into details because I cannot confirm or deny whether it's gonna happen or not, even though I have my boots on the grounds with the idea that's gonna be thrown around. But 2024 should be a really good year. I got two more fights in my contract with BYB, and hopefully we can get those two fights knocked out of the way really quickly. I was able to get three fights in 6 months. And that was pretty. Hopefully, that's pretty impressive to some. And hopefully this year is going to be. Hopefully, I can get 6 fights this year. That's my goal. Hopefully, I can get 6 fights here, win the title mid-year, and defend it at least 3 times. That's my goal. Get the title before mid-year and defend that bad boy at least 3 times this year. That's my goal. And I think I can succeed and accomplish that. I will be taking over the 135-pound weight division. So, hopefully these guys are ready for some of that work, So that's my goal is to get to the
Definitely.
135, stick and hold that division, hold it down, and really represent boxing and boxers for all the art that they've put into developing this developing boxing. Boxing is not brawling. Boxing is not just swinging for the fences. It is a gentleman art, and hopefully I can bring that to bare knuckle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, so let's take a commercial break with our ad for our sponsors. And we got couple questions to ask you. Be ready for these questions. We'll be right back. The Twisted Stitches sponsored is with Zachary here. His wife makes these products. He's going to give you a little bit more details about it.
Basically, she's got pretty much anything that you could come up with that you would want crocheted. Got kids' toys, um, you know, um, got shirts, sweaters, uh, custom tapestries, custom bags. I mean, pretty much anything. Just go ahead and give her page a shout, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Nice.
There you go. Thank you for sponsoring us. And so we have a few more questions to ask you. So who's your favorite fighter? It could be boxing, bare knuckle, it could be BYB, it can even be yourself. So who's your favorite fighter?
So my favorite fighter of all time is in boxing, and his name is Juan Manuel Marquez.
I heard of that name. Yep.
That's my guy right there.
I've never heard of him in a while.
He's the boxer. He's the boxer's boxer. Like he's one of those boxers that all boxers that know boxing respect. Juan Manuel Marquez is probably one of the cleanest inside boxing fighter that I've ever seen. So that's my guy, man. Juan Manuel Marquez. That's for boxing. For kickboxing, I would go back with. I'll go to a guy named Albert Cross. Him and Andy Sauer. Oh, some of the best kickboxers ever. Best K1 champions. So those two guys from the same team, they ended up splitting up and actually fighting each other eventually. But they're what is it called? K1 Max back in the days. Animals. Best kickboxers ever. And that's another thing too with kickboxing, man. They went backwards, man. The kickboxing game is so weak nowadays, it's retarded. Kickboxing was vicious and sick. Now it's just weird.
Yeah,
So is.
I haven't
So
done
weird.
a kickboxing match in quite some years, but the last time I did, it was kind of awkward to say the least. It was not. it was not what it was whenever I first started, and there were a lot more
Talent in the pool.
Yeah, there were better people kickboxing when I first started than when I got done, and it was kind of like, is this really a good route to be in? And is this going to pay in the end? And I was like, nah, that's not just it's not.
I think One FC is doing a really good job at building
Oh
and
yeah,
displaying great kickboxers. But K1 failed in regards to the talent pool nowadays. I don't think they have any good kickboxers. I think One FC has some of the best kickboxers
yes,
and that's recently they just started uncovering really good talent now. That remind me of the old school days of Andy Sauer, Mosato, Buakau, all of them
yeah,
guys. Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
Blue
now,
cows, rod tangs,
yep, all those guys are
monsters,
freaking
monsters.
Mike Zambides, I remember
Raymond Decker,
Zambides, bruh.
you know,
Sick, man.
animals. People
Animals
that would
now.
stand there with a hole in their forehead like this, and they're ready to kick you
Uh-huh.
back. And that's
And
just
Shahid, oh man, there's so much guys back in my day that I look
man.
up to and I try to mirror my technique from. And that's basically what it is. I found my best favorite fighters. I compiled a list of things that they do really, really well. One of the things that Juan Manuel does is a really nice uppercut to the head. You know, he really gets those uppercuts right in between those guards. So that's one of the things that I took from him. His combination, his flurries, how he put those inside boxing punches together. So good. And then also like Miguel Cotto as well. I like his body shots, the fluentness, the smoothness, and all that kind of stuff. That's where I get my body shots from. Is from Miguel Cotto. Who else? And then my boy Nito. He really helped me with. Well, he really showed me a really phenomenal way of finding body shots and forcing them open. And that would probably be like the three boxers that I really looked up to and are my favorite fighters. Would be those three boxers: Nito, um, Miguel Cotto, and then Juan Manuel Marquez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my kickboxers, but we're doing boxing now, so I'll just stay with that.
That's good.
Sounds like you got quite an intricate list going on over there.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask your favorite question, Zach?
If you could fight anybody right now,
Uh-huh.
who would you fight and why? If it's multiple, fights, if it's kickboxing and bare knuckle or MMA or whatever, if you had a dream fight, like money doesn't matter. The purse comes with the fight.
Right.
Okay. If you can have I'm gonna get paid for kicking this motherfucker's ass, who do
Because
you
I don't
got?
like them.
Pardon my French, but if you had your pick, if you could fight anybody that you wanted to, who would you fight?
Well, it's the way you frame that question really kind of fumbles me because I like everybody. I'm a very kind person. I really enjoy people in general. So none of my opponents I really had any ill will towards.
Right.
So if we remove the ill will side of things and I just want to put on a show because I love fighting the toughest fighters. I want to put on the best and the hardest. I want to challenge myself. I always love challenging myself and really proving to myself in the world that I'm able to stand with the greats kind of thing, and so at this moment in time with the current caliber of fighters right now, is that where you would want me to pick out of this caliber of fighters now? Or just overall
fighters throughout history, you could go all the way back.
So
and
I want to fight one guy. Like if I could fight him, this would be ideal. And if I'm healthy, completely healthy, I want to fight Volkanovski. That's what I want to fight. I feel like I could beat him. Like I don't think he could stand with me striking. I personally think I could beat him up on the striking side. Like I was just very disappointed on how he beat my boy Max. So if I could, I would fight Volkanovski. I want to fight him, and I think I could. I genuinely, if I got my cardio in the right place, my jiu-jitsu and wrestling in a good place, decent place, I will two-piece that guy up. Like
I feel the same way.
Because personally, him and I fight similarly, like very similar. We're very aggressive forward fighters, and it was kind of pained me so much to see my boy Max lose to him because that's literally how I fought him our whole life. I did the same thing to Max our whole life, pressured the crap out of him, and I really felt like he won the first two fights, but the last one, man, was clear cut,
Yeah.
and I was like, man. So if Max does get that fight again, he better call me up, put me in his camp, and let me get you ready for that fight because I will mirror that guy so damn well.
I mean, that's
So,
75 minutes shared with that individual because that's
that would be the guy.
5 minute five minute rounds. That's 25 minutes per fight. That's 75 minutes he shared in the octagon. That's an hour and 15 minutes he's been in the octagon with him.
He did my boy wrong, so I need to pay him back for what he did to my boy Max. So I think that would be the fight that I would want to fight. Really,
I would
really
love
bad.
to see
The most
that.
interesting fight would be.
That caught me off guard.
I would fight him MMA. And he did. You know, I ended up getting my purple belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So I'm not that of a slouch, on the ground.
Yeah, I know
I'm
what
not
you mean.
that great. I get by. I can get by in this MMA game. If I was healthy enough to be able to get back into MMA, oh man, that would be the guy that I would come after, and I genuinely would beat that guy. I wholeheartedly feel like I'll beat that guy because me and him have a very similar story where he dropped a lot of weight, so he got a lot of strength on him, right? Carrying all that weight he had, cutting down to that weight, and then being aggressive the way he is. That is me. That is my story as well. But
I know
feel
exactly.
like that would be the guy. That would be the guy. Before him would have been like Jose Aldo, which Max already, beat. And these are all the guys that we looked up to growing up, and we felt like we wanted to fight later down.
King of Rio.
Yeah.
I mean, that was whenever I was growing up and I was watching fighting when I was younger. I don't really want to say growing up because I was, a teenager, kind of an adult as a teenager, but when I was watching the Chuck Liddells, the Jose Aldos, the Uriah Faber, the Fedor Emelianenko's, Mirko Krokop,
Those are the days, man. Those are fighters right there.
very fucking dudes, man. They go in there and they connect one time, they shut your lights completely out, they disconnect you from your body, they leave you laying there, sometimes shaking.
People, the MMA scene are now doing the Floyd Mayweather, the Money May now.
They want to touch you or not get touched the whole fight. They don't care how good it looks. They don't want to. They will stand there and they will hit you with the jab the entire fight.
Yeah,
the entire fight.
Yeah. But then another guy, if I could, outside of that, I don't think I would have came after Volkanovski if he didn't beat my boy Max. But if I had to choose outside of him, it would be Sean O'Malley. I would love to share. He's pretty clean. I love to put on a show with that guy. I definitely feel like I have the skill and the ability to put his ass on his back foot and fighting off his back foot.
So it sounds like you would make the Sugar Show become untamable with John Barnard.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a hell of a podcast idea, bro. Untamable with John Barnard.
There's a comment right here on the bottom for you if you want to read it. If you can read it on the
Jason
screen.
Wayne says, "What about Dale Apollo Cook?"
Never heard. Check him out. Yeah, I'll go check him out. Never heard of him before. Is he in the UFC as well?
So here's one of the favorite questions we like to ask the fighters at the end of the show. Who are your sponsors and how is your support behind you when you're in the fighting combat sports?
So I moved to North Carolina. Most of my fans and followers are in Hawaii still. My support in Hawaii is still strong. They showing up still, supporting me digitally, obviously. But I've created a really good, strong support system here as well. And in fact, my first pro bare knuckle boxing match, I had fans drive about 2 hours away to support me. So that just goes to show how quickly I was able to create a little fan base here in less than a year's time living here. So my fan base is just growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And the support that I'm getting here is amazing right now. I have my neighbors that I adopted into my ohana as well. My next door neighbors have been a huge, crucial part in the return of me getting back into the ring. You know, they support me by helping me with my children when I needed help. And then I have my siblings, my brother showing up every time that I got to fight. So that's great. You know, it's still not the same, but it's as close as I'll ever get it. And it's just beginning. It's like I started up again. It's like I'm a baby starting all over again. And it's growing. The love and support that I'm getting in North Carolina is crazy. It's really crazy. Some of my sponsors right now that I currently have is too much to list. I wish I had my list now. I feel bad now, but the main sports sponsor right now is Top Tiger Team Boxing. Andre Miguel has been really a crucial part of my success, right? Creating an environment in which I'm able to thrive, train in peace and in harmony with individuals in the team. It's a safe place. I got good people speaking into my ear, no negative vibes at all. It's a great gym that everyone who's in the area needs to check out. And then I got Go Get 'em Mason, who is also one of my boys. He's one of the coaches there that helps me. I support him in his movement. Great human being, and he's been a big help spiritually and all that kind of stuff as well, physically as well. Bet Shark as well was one of my first sponsors on my return, which has been awesome as well. We got Eddie, who opened a Makua, and that's one of my sponsors as well. We have Misguided Individuals, which is one of my boys that opened the clothing line. My brother, New Level Concepts or New Level Industry. He is also a clothing company. He also owns a football team as well. Who else do I have? I have I have a financial group that I'm working with. I really forgot off the top of my head what the name. Again, next time I'll be prepared, much more prepared. I haven't had an interview for a hot minute, so I kind of lost track of everything. I also want to give a shout out to Dom at First Round for supporting me and really kind of staying on top of what's next for me and really working with these promotions so that I don't have to. I'm really looking forward to the future in which he starts securing me sponsors and fights and all that kind of stuff, because I know I'm gonna get the best that is available to me. And that's pretty much it. All the rest of my sponsors you guys can find at untameable.net. I have my own website in which you guys can support me by visiting my website and checking out the sponsors that I have there. You go on untameable.net and just click on my name and it will take you to all my sponsors. That's what allows me to continue to do what I do, right? Sponsoring, allowing these sponsors to sponsor me.
Definitely. Well, we've got a little bit of time left here before we wrap it up. I was going to ask you another question here. What drives you to do what you do? What motivates you?
That's a good for this fighting or just in general?
What motivates you to do it? What motivates you to do it all?
Do it all. All right. So first off, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ motivates me to be the best version of me so that I can encourage the next generation to lean on to God for whatever they need, you know, and the more that I can put on, the more that I can show up, the more that I can stay consistent in the things that I do, and the more I can accomplish that I give glory to God, more people can see that side of me, and they can hopefully, just have an abundant life of greatness. And then my kids, you know, I really inspire to be the best father and figure in their lives, so that when they become adults, that they have a standard that they have to live by. So I'm gonna set the standard real high, very high, so that the standard that I set is just the bare minimum for their lives. So the higher I raise the standard, this is my ideal. The higher that I raise the standard, the higher that they have to beat it, right? So as you guys have kids, right? You always want them to do better than you, right? And if we set the bar low, it's really not much for them to thrive to. So if I thrive now and set the bar very high, they're gonna have a great life because they only know this that I gave them, right? They're only gonna know what I provided them. So that's gonna be the bare minimum for them. And so the higher I set it, the better their lives should be. Hopefully, that's the goal for me. That's what I'm thinking. So that's another reason. And then the fighting thing, just coming back. I talked to you guys about this. This is probably one of the most important reasons why I came back to is showing that this generation, man, no shade. Try my best not to throw shade, but this generation of fighters is not like they used to be before. And so hopefully I can come back in here, spark the fire for any of the old timers, the real fighters that I grew up competing against, and have them come back in this game and really show these young bucks what it's about. You know what I mean? I think they lost their flame. This generation lost their fire. They lost their flame. They ain't fighting like they used to. They ain't putting on for the fans like we used to. So that's another motivator. You know what I mean? Getting back out there, showing people that just because your cards was dealt a certain way, that doesn't mean you can't have a banger hand. That doesn't mean you cannot blackjack out. You know what I mean? So hopefully that people see that, and that's really, really, truly the motivation behind what I do, why I do it. You can have all the excuses in the world. This generation is so entitled. They don't know about hard work, and hopefully I'm showing these kids that hard work do pay off. Being consistent do pay off. And pushing through adversity and working through ambiguity do pay off. It does make you resilient. And so I am that product of resilience, working through ambiguity and just working through the cards that was dealt to me. I didn't have the greatest life growing up. I wasn't rich at all. My actually was very poor, very, very poor. I remember working at a grocery store at like 10, 11 years old for food because we ran out of food all the time. So I come from slums, you know what I mean? And I'm making something of myself. And so anyone else can too. So those are motivators that I'm driven off of. Is just showing the next generation that, bro, these excuses, your entitlements is not enough, man. Get out there, go to work. Go to work. Is it? That's my motivations.
Definitely. It sounds like you got a real good, true intent.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to do one more commercial break for our last sponsor, and we're going to give a little more closing of the interview. Let's be back. Here's our sponsor, D&D Custom Baits.
Hey, man, I gotta know. What are they biting on?
The end of my line. Here, try one of these finesse crawlers from D&D.
D&D baits are top quality baits in a large variety of colors and styles. D&D baits have been proven to work better than the national brands in the waters here in the Pacific Northwest. They create their baits custom to the water conditions. D&D makes the baits no one else will have. Catch D&D baits on Facebook. Land more fish.
All right, D&D Custom Baits. I'm sorry I had a little delay there. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that real quick.
Basically, Landon can make a whole array of different creature baits with different pour molds, designs, colors, scents, shapes, sizes. Get with Landon from D&D Baits, because I'm telling you, his baits work. I'm in the Midwest. He's in the Pacific Northwest. I've seen people in Florida catching fish on them. So get with Landon from D&D Baits and land more fish.
All right, so John Barnard, Untameable, great interview. Appreciate your time and effort and your time you had came on my show. And you guys heard it from him. He's ready. He's going to take over the 135 weight class. And hopefully we'll see that strap around you soon, buddy.
That's right.
All right, guys.
Thank you for being on Full Broadcast. Have a good night.
We appreciate your time, buddy. Thanks for coming out and sharing your story with us.
No problem.